On this episode of AV Week, we are live from the show floor of CEDIA Expo 2015. New CEDIA head Vin Bruno joins us, John Siaka, Rich Fregosa, Matt Scott, Victoria Ferrari, Jennifer Willard, and a host of others. We're going to talk about 4K, home automation, Dolby Atmos, and everything we saw at CEDIA Expo 2015. All that and more next on AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
AV Week is brought to you by our fine group of underwriters, companies like Draper. This is AV Week, episode 217, recorded Friday, October 16th, 2015, live from CEDIA 2015.
Ready.
AV Week.
Performing scan.
Week.
Online.
This is AV Week. AV Week. This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audio-visual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. We are live on the show floor of the CEDIA Expo 2015. If you can see the shot behind us, it says Beer Garden. We have not imbibed as of yet, but Uncle Richie's here, so anything could happen. Rich Fregosa from Fregosa Designs. How are you, sir?
Very, very good. Enjoying it. And enjoying my AV Tweeps time.
Yeah.
And my AVNation time.
Good show?
Yeah. It's today I'm feeling the vibrancy that it was. It's what was the word that somebody was using the other day? Is there's significant relevance being at the show.
Okay. I like that word. Also with us is Jennifer Willard from JW. I almost said JW Designs. JTS Technologies.
Yeah.
So
great.
how are you?
Women in AV. Excellent. How are you? This is our first year here with Women in AV. So my first CEDIA show. I'm from the commercial side, so it's really exciting. I'm like just jazzed to see the similarities and then also just the uniqueness of the consumer electronics side that you don't get to see at an Infocom or anything. So I'm just taking it all in and having a great time here with ITDRC, which is CEDIA's charity partner this year, and they do the information disaster recovery as well. So come check out our bus.
Yeah, we're going to get more into the commercial, into the residential, because both you and Victoria Ferrari are here. And last but not least, holy cow, Vin Bruno. How are you, sir?
Tim, I'm great. Happy to be here.
It's kind of hard to say, Vin Bruno, not to say Vin Bruno from Crestron. This is the new CEO, the head honcho of CEDIA. So good time.
It's great. I'm so happy to be CEDIA's CEO. Very confident of the things that we're going to build from on this organization. We have a great foundation. This show has been energetic. And I've only been the CEO for 2 weeks.
I know. That's crazy. So there's not a whole lot in the world of AV that you could consider breaking news, right? Let's be honest. You have a manufacturer, you kind of know when certain product cycles are going on and stuff like that. But it's a Friday morning, and I get a tweet. I think it's from Julie Jacobson actually, that said, "Oh my gosh, Vin Bruno is the new CEO." Yes. I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome." And when I saw you yesterday, I'm seriously, I could not be happier for you. I could not be happier for CEDIA. I think it was an incredible choice. I don't know the 10,000 people you went up against, so I'm sure they're fine people.
Yes.
But very, very happy for you, and very good job for them. So.
And I'm very happy for our industry. I've served this channel for 31 years. This is my fourth job in the 31 years. Never been outside the channel, and that's longer than CEDIA's even been in existence.
Wow.
And I'm happy to say this company right here, the gaffer tape that I'm holding, Technec, I founded this company in partnership with Mark Brunstein of Tower Products, and this is a successful distribution company serving this channel today. And
that's awesome.
It's kind of cool to see.
You founded Technec?
I did.
Did you know that? I didn't know that either.
Can we ask how many years ago?
1992.
Excellent.
So that was like, what, 5 years ago?
When you were 25?
It was a piece of trivia. That's when I
He
graduated.
always holds on to these stories
what-
and just drops them right there.
yeah.
It's like the ultimate mic drop half the time with Vinny. He's like, and
Let me ask you, was this a prop?
No, it's what I used to gaff. I horribly gaffed the cables here, but I gaffed them nonetheless. That's my favorite gaff tape. I'm not kidding.
And
It's not a commercial.
let me tell you how this channel, how good this channel is. When I go around, to visit our dealers, is what we referred to them at the time. The best guys would be so happy with the visit, they would never let me leave without paying for the trip, right? And the order that would come to me would be for a case of gaffer tape, a tripod, so whatever it is that was needed that day for whatever that project is. These dealers have moved from being dealers in broadcast, in some commercial work, to integrating the most beautiful homes in the world today.
Right.
And I've known them for all 31 years. So with that said, I look back at, my purpose, and my purpose has always been to support the sales effort. And I bring to CEDIA, the energy to facilitate the success of our channel. And that's what I've done, and that's what I will continue to do.
All right. Well, let's not dive. I don't want you to give me your entire presentation, but dive into that for a bit. I mean, you're a new CEO. There's going to be lots of energy, lots of excitement. I'm sure lots of meetings. What is your kind of roadmap for the next few years for CEDIA?
Well, for one, it starts with the organization itself. We're 42 people strong. We're located in Indianapolis. We'll put together, core values for success. One of the things that are very important to me, the way I've always, done my work throughout my career, is member engagement. If a member contacts us, by phone, by email, by text, it's the most important thing to do. So I ask the staff, make sure that you don't end your day until, at the very least, you've returned every single phone call, every single email. There's nothing more important to me than member engagement, than taking care of the member, even if you don't have the answer. And even if it's 11:59 p.m., make sure that day you get back to whatever the request was. We're going to take our facility, and you know me, I built out at Crestron our experience centers and design showrooms, and we're going to create sort of an experience center in our facility, because our staff, every one of them, they're great people. For them to do what they did to put together this show is incredible, the details. They want to be better, and to me, I've identified better as being well-versed in the technology we represent. So manufacturers will be involved to provide us with the installed equipment. So if we have Savant providing the controls for the kitchen, they will become the Savant kitchen. They will be responsible to come in, build out the room, commission the room, teach our employees how to use the room, and then they'll also be responsible for updating it, repairing it when necessary, and then we'll go room to room. We have a conference room, and the conference room might be powered by Crestron's unified communication, so that we have the ability to collaborate all over the world with their equipment. That room will be called the Crestron Unified Communications Room. So it starts in-house. Now, my roadmap is pretty wide, right? Because it includes, new member categories.
Yeah.
It includes partnerships with press. It includes this show, and ISE, because we're 50% owners of ISE. It's extensive. We would need a lot of time, and I'll be happy to send to you the 5-year roadmap that I produced and presented that got me into this position.
Excellent. All right. You have any questions for Vin?
I'm still just glad Vinny's
Me
here.
too. Yeah.
I'm like, Vin, just do the whole show. I just want to listen. I just want to listen.
He's busy. So I'm trying to get him out of here so Olivia doesn't shoot me. So, all right. Well,
but actually, I do have a question. What has been the biggest surprise for you in this position at CEDIA in terms of, like, with your membership? What are you finding that because obviously everybody's coming up and talking to you and congratulating everything else. What are you hearing from the dealers as you're getting the opportunity to see them right now?
Well, I've been well received. I mean, the congratulations that I've received, they're very moving. So at the same time, we have our work cut out for us at CEDIA. It's been several years since there's been a CEO in position. So as such, there's a lot of work to do. My biggest surprise was how amazing our staff is. I mean, in terms of competence, confidence, and caring, they have those 3 C's for success. Yeah. Like I said, the coolness with which they approach this show in such a short period of time, I can't say enough about how happy I am working with them. I have a Chief Operating Officer, Tabitha O'Connor. She's a CPA. She's brilliant. I'm going to be working with her to help reorganizing the association such that I get sales, marketing, my favorite, technology, because we got to get in front of our manufacturers. Anything that they have in the pipeline for new technology, we have to be ahead of it so that we can write the curriculum in advance of that product technology being launched, and we'll educate our members. So our members have embraced me and welcomed me with open arms. Some of the members from the 90s that have been closely involved with CEDIA, they have some concerns. They expressed those concerns. I listened, with open arms. I accepted everything. And then I informed that we will move on from here. So now you vented, and I'm listened, and I've taken note, but we're going to move forward with this plan, and I know that you'll be happy with it.
Very cool. All right, Vin Bruno, new CEO of CEDIA. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You got a busy show, so go ahead and have your go.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Alrighty. All right, so here's the thing. That's freaking cool. Richie, for the first time, and this is kind of what we do for with these shows, is absolutely the fact that John Siaka is gracing our presence is just incredible.
Although, I was mentioning to John earlier in his rider, he tried to hand over his rider saying that we cannot look him directly in the eye.
Well, we can't. He's like 7 foot tall.
I know, right.
He has an interpreter who we will speak to, who will then convey
and that's Matt
to
Scott.
Mr. Siaka.
And I'm going to use a royal we, if that's okay.
Or refer to yourself in the third person.
Yes, myself.
Yeah. So what are you seeing that's first of all, have your socks been knocked off at all, or is this? We talked about this last night on the little kind of a daily wrap up. Incremental changes for this year. What are those incremental changes?
I mean, obviously the big push we're seeing is 4K. That's just kind of obvious at this point. The introduction of some kind of commercial-ish views entering into the residential side, seeing a lot more like video tiling, a lot more multi-monitor. It's taking the technology and leveraging the technology that's already out there with accessory pieces, where I saw one manufacturer, which again, it was really neat, is that they were dealing with a legacy solution. Houses built before Cat 5, they were building an HDMI via coax tap distribution.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's like you start thinking about those things. It's like HDMI and 4K and all these things are fantastic if you're in a room, but what happens if you're in a house that was built prior to 1995, or 92, or in the 70s, and people don't want to gut the place, or they don't want to go to the expense, or these systems are cost prohibitive because it requires a whole new wiring structure. Yeah. Definitely the expansion of wireless to devices, a lot of the Zigbee stuff, a lot of the Z-Wave. For me, it's kind of the show of accessories. It's all the stuff to help you get 4K, all the stuff to help you get different layers of control. All the controlling manufacturers are refining. I think they're hitting their stride with mobile right now. That's what I'm starting to see, is that they're embracing it now.
Okay.
To the point where it's not a competition. It's not cannibalizing, the traditional keypad touch panel sales. It's now part of their ecosystem, and they've embraced it, and now they're promoting it, and they're working with it, and they're saying this is definitely part of your digital lifestyle.
Yeah, it has to be. Mr. Siaka, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm not sure that we've ever actually met in person, have we?
I think last year at CEDIA once or twice.
Let's fix it.
How are you?
How you doing? I'm John.
I'm Tim Albright. We've talked on the phone a number of times.
John, I'm Jennifer Willard.
Hi, I'm still John.
and this is Rich Fregosa.
Doctor.
So, for somebody who's not ever met you, or I can't imagine, I can't imagine someone who's never read you, because I don't know that anybody short of Shakespeare writes more than you. Tell people, why do you come to the show?
Well, I was just talking to Victoria over there. This is such a huge part of my life. I mean, I have a huge passion for this stuff personally. We have a nice home theater. We watch movies at home 4 nights a week. We have all the automation in our own house. I am partners with an integration company, so I have a 40-hour-a-week day job where I'm selling, installing, integrating this stuff, and then I write about it for a variety of publications. So like really CEDIA is like such a huge part of like my every waking minute life. And every year it's like I come back here, I see more people that I know or that I've met, new companies that I followed for years. And so, I mean, I love this show. I'm just a huge CEDIA fanboy. I mean, it's the one show I really look forward to every year in a way that I don't look forward to any of the other shows. Like, there's the kind of dread about CES, but there's the excitement of CEDIA. And I just, I love it. I like how it just boils down the stuff to everything that I'm interested in. No refrigerators, no cell phones, just the cool stuff.
Just the cool stuff. So what's some of the cool stuff you've seen?
Well, if you followed any of my writing, I mean, I've been talking a lot about immersive audio, specifically Dolby Atmos. I've been following Atmos for a long time, and I think I've reviewed every Atmos movie that's come out on Blu-ray disc so far. So that's a really interest to me, and it's like, what I noticed from last year to this year is so many more manufacturers showing it, so much more content. We're getting DTS and their X format on board now, Oro 3D, and that's becoming less of a one-off thing, and like now it's like, hey, this is the new standard. You need to be selling this, even at like, I think Denon has it down under $500 an Atmos receiver. So it's one of those things. I think it's a very experiential thing that clients have to see it, hear it, like, oh my gosh, why would I want the other when I could have this? Because it's so much better. So that to me is good. And like Rich was saying, at CEDIA last year, there was no real solution for 4K. Even like point to point, you couldn't go through a receiver to a TV. And so now almost everything is HDCP 2.2 compliant. All of the distribution is compliant. You have the way now of bringing in this next generation video format and making it work in the way that we always do. So, and also very cool too, like, we're seeing 4K sources here at the show. Kaleidoscape with our new Strato player, really cool. At the higher end even than Kaleidoscape, Prima Cinema is showing 4K theatrical content. I will say I'm really disappointed that there's not a 4K Blu-ray player here. I was expecting we were going to see one.
Keep waiting, brother.
If it's here, man, I got to tell me where it is.
Keep waiting, brother. It's yeah.
So I think, again, as a retailer, people are always asking, why buy this 4K TV? What can I see? And beyond the story of the upscaling, it's going to make everything you watch look great. People want to be watching native content, and I think we're going to be able to start telling that story in a way now.
Yeah, absolutely. Jennifer, as someone who has well, you came from court, right? The courtroom system. Compare that and compare your experience at Infocom or some of the more commercial world shows to this show.
Well, I was very interested to see what would compare to be similar, and then also what I would find that would be very different. And just generally in the industries themselves, not just the show here. So I've just been pretty surprised by a lot of things, but I was really surprised having no idea how big, the Crestron booth would be. I mean, you see them at the Infocoms. I've noticed and compared the different sizes of what I've noticed at Infocom from some of the bigger players and how they sort of represent themselves here. So you've got Crestron, which is, coming out as you would expect them to at an Infocom in a residential consumer market is a bit of a surprise to me. I really didn't. I should have known better. It is Crestron. They do Crestron. Do everything. So I shouldn't be that surprised. But I was a little bit. And then you see Christie, who's here. I mean, knowing the Christie booth and the size, I mean, talk about having its own city, an Infocom, and all they have here is a little screen room. I guess that last year they had a big booth here as well, but this year when I was talking to them, they decided, to kind of downsize. They still offer their technology and they're still offering the same things, but I think that that's been a little bit of an interest to me, Stampede and having the drones. So
even here at Residential.
Yeah. And then comparing the types of things that they are looking at doing the drones for is a little bit different here than they would be at Infocom. Infocom's more of like sort of the disaster and then the larger scale commercial and the sporting events and those types of things. And here it's more about like your homes and like, doing like area surveillance and things like that and mapping in 3D. So I've been interested to see the different types of offerings that companies that I wouldn't have necessarily expected to have such a presence in the residential market have that. And then on the other hand, it's also, when I look, just saying with the automation, companies like Savant, I think it's RCI, I understand that there's, certain companies that are very large in the residential that have tried to make some moves into the commercial, but for the most part, they kind of stay in their own sandboxes and they don't necessarily cross paths with each other. But I've been really surprised seeing so many different automation companies. There's, some of the smaller little booths that you have around here, just companies you would like IP Control or just different companies that I didn't realize that there were so many companies into automation and control systems.
Yeah.
And so maybe I missed that whole thing at Infocom, but at Infocom you really have some of the larger players. It's a pretty set box of consistency of who you expect to see, whereas here it seems that there's much more diversity of what you're going to see from different products that you have in it. So that's been a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah. Richie, why is that? Because she's right. You don't see all of the multitude of players at Infocom when it comes to control.
I think the smaller control companies, because you are dealing in the residence, you have the ability to be a bit more nimble in terms of the control itself, because you still do have a lot of infrared control devices. You still have devices that are in the living room itself that, the control company that's controlling the living room, the smaller one, may not want to put as much effort when trying to deal with the video conferencing room or the huddle room. It's a completely different animal at that point, just from the communication and the controls and in the commercial spectrum, it is a little bit more enmeshed. You're dealing with consultants who are specifying. So again, on the control side for commercial, you're getting either consultant or bid spec, and so it's already coming top down. So they've already got the partnerships and the arrangements and the comfort with it. Whereas with residential, you're dealing with the end user, you're dealing with the consumer. So you have the flexibility of people's different personalities, and you're in the home. And I find it, just for that reason, people treat their work far differently than they treat their home, and they do have a layer of comfort and they get excited about different things. So I think that's where it opens up. And cost too. Yeah. You can find some lower cost solutions on the residential side because you're not having to necessarily deal with a lot of the challenges that you'll run across in the commercial spectrum.
Very good.
And I have a question, if you don't mind, and this is to John and Rich, because you guys have been here so much. One of the things that, I don't know if I'm right or not, but I notice even the attendees here are a lot different than you would expect to get at Infocom.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
It's all integrators. It's all installers.
I've never been to Infocom, so I can't comment on it.
No, we're trying. We're trying. We'll do that one day. But it's just, I noticed that more people here that are attending and for CEDIA's show is for integrators.
This is definitely for us, by us.
Yeah.
This is geared not to an end user at all. It's like you've got the guy talking to the installer, the technician, and they can come here and get that level of information they need. They don't have to wade through service and support. They can get right to the guy that they need to talk to. So that's one of the great things about the show, is the access to get the information to that one-off problem that you've run into and can't get an answer to.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think absolutely with commercial, I mean, you're dealing with the technology managers. You're dealing with a different layers, again, within the work as opposed with the home. And here, because also a lot of the integrators tend to be smaller companies. Not always, but you have smaller companies. You're dealing with the principals of the company. You're dealing with their installation team. Whereas at an Infocom, you may have a management layer. That may not be a show where you bring your technicians. So that what John was saying exactly, it's the access here. It's we do have. John wrote a great piece about finding the guy or that guy, right?
Or gal.
Person, technical person. That is, I think, summed up what CEDIA really is about. It's the ability for us, by us, to be able to help one another, and it's still the trade organization and the sales and everything that goes on, but it is about us as an industry, not necessarily the layers of the manufacturers pushing out their message. We're definitely more focused on how can we make this work together.
And I'll say something else that's kind of cool on that. Sometimes the contacts you make here have nothing to do with the manufacturer. I mean, it might be another installer that you meet who lives on the other side of the country who can help you out with, I know Rich has met people who you started doing work with.
Yeah.
And it's like, work for Rich, but a great resource for the people. So just the access to people who have maybe been doing it longer, doing it different, doing it better maybe, you can, we stand on the shoulders of giants here. And that's the thing. So everybody, there's not a sense of I'm not going to tell you this because you might, run me out of business. It's like, we're all kind of, unless you live next door to me. But, for most of it, it's
from Myrtle Beach.
In which case, stay home. But it's a really complimentary type industry and atmosphere here.
It is.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very collaborative. I like that. All right, I'll let you guys get back to the show floor. John Siaka, thank you, sir. How can people find you or get a hold of you or follow you?
Lots of ways. I'm on Twitter, Siaka Tweets. If you like to read about beer, Siaka Drinks.
I do. No. I appreciate I appreciate the craft beer recommendations. So
excellent. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Jennifer Willard, how can people find you?
They can go to Women in AV. That's an easy way to find the Women in AV there. Also, they can go to JH Willard, so they can find me there. Right. And then also one other thing, if we can, as I mentioned, ITDRC is here this year as CEDIA's charity partner. And so one of the things that they're doing is that instead of having to, don't ship your equipment and your gear from the show back, you can go ahead and you can donate to them, and it goes to the disaster recovery thing. So we're really excited about that. So itdrc.org.
All right, very good.
Thanks.
And Uncle Richie, how can people find you?
You can find me here. You can find me on the Twitters at Fregosa, and right now live you can find me on cepro.com as I am sending my daily updates, musings, photos, and booth videos. So check us out at cepro.com. I'm here in my press capacity at the moment.
Good.
So.
Yeah, I like your press stuff. So, all right, we're going to get another group here, and we'll be right back. All right, here we go. Continuing again, we have Terry Coffey from Draper. If you follow Draper and you've noticed their memes, he's the reason why.
No, I accept no blame.
Dude, you've been killing it. Absolutely.
Oh, well, thank you.
I think they're very funny. If you know what memes are, the little pictures, and Terry's been taking them and putting a Draper spin on them, and they've been very good. So.
Oh, well, good. Well, thanks. I'm glad you've enjoyed them.
Absolutely. Also with us is Rebecca Villarreal from Middle Atlantic. How are you?
I'm great, Tim. How are you?
Good. I'm actually going to talk about both of you guys' booth and underwriting here in a second. And my buddy Steve Greenblatt from Control Concepts. How are you?
Doing great. How about you?
Good.
Good.
So let's actually talk about booths for a second. It's kind of odd, I know, but walking in yesterday, the first impression of the show, right? I think it was Matt Scott and Victoria Ferrari, who you'll see here in a second. And we walk in, and we're like, there's this giant, like, open air kind of IKEA feeling, like, hardwood floor booth. It's got this stuff, and like, well, that's kind of neat, It's just kind of very cool. And oh, wait a minute, that's Legrand's. That's Becky's booth. Holy cow! That's impressive.
Well, thank you. It's
very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. It was just a nice opportunity for us to take a different approach to the Legrand booth, since we have 4 different product lines and brands in the booth together. So we just wanted kind of a centralized theme around all the great stuff that we do, and it's really designed to be better.
Yeah.
So, and we wanted to try to put that into its physical form too, designed to be open and welcoming and really foster a lot of really great conversations. And so far, it's done a pretty decent job of that.
And integrating all your different products too. I mean, because they're showing an accessory rack basically. I mean, it's not an accessory rack, but it's rack accessories that have different depths of racks and stuff like that. And you're using cable C2G products in that, so you're showing how your product lines kind of work together.
We are, yeah. We try to do this as best we can, and again, it's sometimes there's a really great direct correlation, like when we can show a C2G extender on one of our mounting plates, and sometimes it's a little bit more conceptual in what it does. But again, we're all kind of trying to provide a better experience for our integrator partners. So it's it all kind of works well together.
It does. And Terry, Drapers you guys started this, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 or 3 years ago, where you started making your booth.
Yeah, that's correct. It was Infocom last year.
Last year. And so when I say that, it's not that, Becky didn't have a hand in hand sanding the fine hardwood. I said you did. I'm saying you did. But you guys have a fabrication arm of Draper. And
right. Yeah, we're manufacturers.
Yeah.
We have metal cutting stuff and lasers and all that stuff, yeah.
And so your booth with all the cool little Draper cutouts and everything, and not only did you do that to highlight the fact that, hey, we can do this, it's a product line for you guys, right?
We wouldn't. I mean, we don't build booths for people.
No. But the laser cutting and the
right. That's that's part of the part. We do a lot of our own. We put a lot of our own manufacturing in, and we things like the plenums for our lifts and things like that. We have the capability to do all that ourselves, all the cutting, all the drilling, punching, and that helps us because we do custom stuff, and so that lets us. It's not always going to be as fine as that. If you get by our booth and you see all the skyline and all that, it's really neat. So it's not always going to be something like that, but it highlights that we have the ability to work with you and customize what you need. So
just so you know, you probably should get into the booth building business because they're not cheap.
Well,
are they?
No comment.
Yeah, and there are some things we get printed out, but yeah, we designed it all and fabricated it, powder coated it, everything.
Yeah, that's very cool. Mr. Greenblatt, I'm not going to ask the exhibitors why they come. They come to meet with their dealers and stuff. Why do you come?
There's a couple of reasons. I mean, one, you see a lot of the same people that you see at other shows, so it's important to be able to continue that conversation. And a lot of time goes, if you just go to an Infocom or a CEDIA, but going to both, at least you have some break or an opportunity, I guess, to see a lot of the same people, even if the conversations may not be centered around residential per se or commercial. There's a lot of the same people, so it's important to I think show your face, but also be able to have the opportunity to see people again. But the main reason for me is that I wanted to come to see what technology is being shown to people, to consumers, that people are going to have in their house that they may be looking for in the boardroom. And that it kind of sets the tone and sets the precedent, and I think especially we've been having a lot of conversations about millennials and the idea that the technology is going to be expected in the boardroom, and we need to be able to have a synergy. It's the same user.
Yeah.
So that's a good part of it for me. But it's also I come to talk to manufacturers as well. We do some development with them. So there's select manufacturers that we see primarily at a CEDIA that we wouldn't necessarily see at Infocom. So those are the two main drivers for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Becky, talk about just kind of how CEDIA has evolved over the last few years. We started the show out talking to Vin Bruno, right? And I've said this a lot on the show. I've said this to him personally. I'm really excited about Vin coming over to CEDIA. I really am. I've known him for a lot of years. He did a great job at Crestron. An incredible guy, just human being type level. And that's kind of what I'm just it's one of the things where you go, that's awesome for him, right? That's one of those things. but as CEDIA has kind of grown and evolved, and the show, not only the show but also the organization, are you seeing the same type of people since 2 or 3 years ago, or has it evolved, or is it it is what it is, and we keep going?
I think we're seeing more of the people who have been here for a little bit. So when you talk about how it's evolving, I think that people are communicating a little bit differently now than they were before. So you take somebody like Vin, who, by the way, we joked last year about how you had a panel full of Jersey people, and that's not the case right now, but you have to be happy for a Jersey guy moving forward with something like that. So that was really cool from that perspective. But no, he's known to be very active in the social space, and that's given him a great opportunity to grow and meet other people in the industry, and vice versa, to get to know him and through him the Crestron brand. Who doesn't know the Crestron brand? But that's
who?
But
I'm not sure.
It's a small company. Don't worry about it. They're in Jersey.
Okay. But to that point, I think a lot of people they're consuming news differently. They're turning to things like grassroots effort like AVNation to really know what's going on, and I think we're listening to each other a lot more now. So yeah, I mean, it's evolving in a way where maybe the faces aren't totally changing, but we're seeing more of each other and talking more with each other, and I like that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Terry, I'm going to pick on you and then back to Becky real quick about that. She mentioned the grassroots, and you two, not you two personally, but Draper and Middle Atlantic were one of the first underwriters that AVNation had 6 months ago. So thank you guys. And this is a little self-serving, but why? Why do that?
Why not? No, because you're performing an important service. I come from a media background. I was in public broadcasting. I was a public radio journalist for several years. And so I appreciate that, and I think we as a company appreciate that approach. Grassroots is one word, is a term for it, but it's you could also see it as a bottom-up kind of thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to and I'm not saying anybody is like this necessarily, but instead of saying, well, here's what we decide that we're going to talk about and what the industry is going to talk about. Whereas you guys you're on the ground, you know what people want to talk about and what's going on, and that helps a lot. And it's a very personal experience. And today, more than ever, in all of our communications, professionally, personally, it's all about being personal and in touch with one another.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Terry and I have our radio background, so yeah, he's old, not in PR, but public radio. So, Becky, same thing for you. Middle Atlantic, big company, and helping us out. So thank you. But why?
Well, I mean, just playing off the people aspect, I agree 150%. It's, when you come to an event like CEDIA, it gives you an opportunity to see people and talk face to face and talk about what they're seeing and what we're understanding, what's coming, what's exciting everybody. And I think what you're able to do is capture that a little bit on a week-to-week basis with that interaction that it's like you're sitting down talking with friends almost, and that's it's just a great way to share ideas, and also just kind of it's just a different experience, a different way to consume the news of the industry, and I think we like that. And you guys are a hardworking crew, so I think that
depends on the week, but yes.
Well, and honestly, I think people today, I think they have a lot more trust in that model, because they have a personal connection. They know you're not saying something because you've been paid to be, and so you feel like you have an obligation to be nice. It's just like Amazon reviews and that sort of thing. You seek out what other people like you think about this.
Yeah, and then that makes a whole lot of sense. I didn't think about that. So, all right, Steve, as we wrap up here, I know manufacturers. Neither one of these have been outside their booth, except for to go sleep. So
except to walk over here.
Walk over here. Thank you. What have you seen? Anything that kind of blew you away?
I unfortunately, I'll say I don't have as much of an appreciation for some of the new technologies as those who sell, but I do realize that everything is being put on the network. I think that's a pretty common trend. A lot more a lot more companies are incorporating control. I think that's also part of it as well. There's some really nice displays, which I think are very people can appreciate. I think that we talked a little bit about the big 100-and-something inch Vizio panel.
120. 120
pretty
inches.
Impressive.
10 feet.
It's pretty impressive.
Huge. Yes.
So, but it's good to see to see progression and some innovation and I think that in general it's a good positive sentiment.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll get another group in here. Terry Coffey, thank you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
How can people get a hold of you and or Draper?
Well, you can follow us on Twitter at DraperAV or at Draper Inc. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, Instagram. Just search for Draper. Find us.
And Terry's memes. So
yes, Draper e-cards. That's
Draper.
The hashtag.
Is that it? Okay, Draper
yes.
e-cards.
I'm also one of the CEDIA tweeps, so I'm like John Siaka, and Steve. So you can follow that hashtag and get show news.
Very cool.
From all of us.
All right, Becky, how can people find you or Middle Atlantic?
So you can find me on Twitter at Becky Real. That's Becky Reale, E at the end. Middle Atlantic's at Middle Atlantic. Pretty simple. Yeah. Thanks.
All right, Steve, you?
My website is controlconcepts.net, and very easily Steve Greenblatt is what I go by on Twitter. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
what do you know?
Yeah, it's just weird.
But just to chime in on the whole podcast idea that you guys are talking about, there's no better medium, in my opinion, to get to know people. And even for, I boast all the time to people that I know, if you want to really get into the industry, listen to the podcast for a few months and you start to get to know people.
Yeah.
And that's really the effectiveness of it. And as well as learning about the industry, but you'll know somebody before you actually meet them in person, and that's the beauty of podcasts. So.
Yeah, it's very personal. I mean, people, it's very hard to be fake. Terry can talk about this on the radio, which is a podcast. It's kind of an evolution of that. Your personality is going to come through, and who you are and how you are is going to come through. So yeah, absolutely.
In that case, I apologize.
So do I. So, all right, guys, I'll let you get back to work, and we'll get some more folks on here. All right, as we wrap up our time here at CEDIA 2015, we've got Uncle Richie back just because I like Uncle Richie. I'm going to
And we had to sit through Matt.
I'm going to have to tell a story on Uncle Richie. So I wrote a blog a couple weeks ago about screwing up when you work for your friends. And let me tell you what this story So I'm not going to go through all the ugly details. Needless to say, Saturday morning, I've got this giant program that I am not prepared to do. And I email Uncle Richie going, oh, my God, I'm in trouble. You've got to help me. So Richie, on a freaking Saturday morning, gets on the phone, gets on TeamViewer with me, and talks me off the ledge. So thank you, sir.
You are welcome. It is my pleasure.
It's freaking what you do. So. More than once we've done that. So, all right. Also with us is my buddy Matt Scott from Omega Audio Video.
Hey, how you doing?
Also an AV or a CEDIA tweet.
That too.
And Victoria Ferrari from Synergy CT. How are you?
Great.
Let's start with you, actually, because you are, just like Jennifer, you've lived and breathed, and your AV life has been primarily commercial.
Correct.
Right. Now, let's qualify that. Stewart Film, which you did work for a time,
yeah,
they do residential as well.
Right.
High-end residential,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Because everybody loves a Stewart Film screen. Screen is just, not everybody has the money for a Stewart Film screen. So this is your first CEDIA.
Right.
So what is your impression coming from the commercial world into here?
It's interesting. I'm impressed. I like it. I feel like it feels like Infocom. It's a little smaller, but it definitely, it's cool to imagine that the integrators that are in this space are pretty much small integrators. They're all, very, very small, compared to some of the larger integrators in commercial. And still, these vendors, these manufacturers go all out for them too, So it's cool to think of that, and I think it's a great show. I can see how, it's the Infocom of residential.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Mr. Scott, what's one or two things that you've seen that just kind of knocked your socks off?
That's a good question. You know what? I had a lot of things that I found that I really loved, specifically some of the 4K laser, like super high-end, fitting with those Stewart film screens, the super high-end commercial-grade home cinema experiences. Those were fantastic. Loved those. Again, they don't really hit my market, but man, they were cool to walk into or crash, depending on how you want to look at it. No people shall be mentioned in that. The other thing that was kind of a last-minute thing that kind of blew my mind was I was walking into the Lutron booth to just say hi to an old friend. I wasn't even going to spend really any time in there per se. And all of a sudden I turn around and there's this huge projection screen looking thing. And I'm like, what the heck is this? And they developed a 12 by 12 battery powered shade.
Okay.
It's gigantic. So we sell a lot of shades. We sell a lot of their triathlon battery powered shades. Normally you don't even though it'll go to 8x8, you don't do 8x8 because it's too much. They went nuts and went with a 12 by 12.
Okay, but how big is that battery, though? I mean, good Lord.
It is...
It comes with the optional Tesla battery.
It has to. I mean, seriously.
No,
I mean,
I believe he told me that, and again, I may be wrong on the number, but I believe it's like 18 batteries or something. So it's a ton of batteries. But again, about 2 months ago, I quoted a project where they were almost finished construction, drywall was done, finish was done, paint was going in, and they realized they didn't do shades. And they wanted shades. So we had to provide the option of motorized shades and ripping your walls open. They declined to do that because they didn't want to rip the walls, so they ended up going with, hand-powered cranks. I could have put this shade in if I had it because of its size. You could get away with that. The crazy thing is, they're getting 3 to 5 years out of that, 2 up, 2 down.
Seriously.
And that's the stuff that, it's not super sexy, it's not super AV-ish, but from an automation standpoint and the fact of, even 3 years out of, I don't care if it's 25 batteries, 3 years out of that is phenomenal in that size.
So do you get a service contract to go change those?
Probably, because it's going to be monstrous.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Rich, something that came down yesterday morning was the unfortunate closing of IA International. And it wasn't just a, hey, guys, we're having trouble. We're going to, cease operations and a nice, quiet.
Yes, we called it, it was not what we would call a graceful exit.
No, it was a get the heck out, we're locking in the doors. Talk a bit about the fact that and God bless them, good for them for trying something out and trying something new and trying to be a big residential player. There's not a Whitlock of resi. There's not an AVI SPL of residential, and we can argue and debate about whether or not those two companies are good in what they are. Why is that?
Our industry is not as mature as the commercial industry.
Okay.
It just in terms of time.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I don't know. I'm still immature, so I'm still like really.
There are
immature.
other ways to take that. I've met some of these. Never mind.
The commercial, I think, what attracts, just in terms of personality profiles from commercial. Again, you treat your work different than you treat your home, and typically, the smaller companies themselves did not take a lot of at times when I meet the commercial side of the business, and I still do commercial, their career path tends to come more from a business-oriented approach. It is a process. CEDIA, when we started out, it was rock and roll. It was like, man, it's like I need to get a day gig because my band's not covering it. And 25 years ago, it's like, like John said, we're standing on the shoulders of giants. It was mad scientists. These guys were inventing this stuff. We invented an industry out of nothing. It was just like somebody said, I need some speakers. They had their stereo, and one day somebody said, wow, it'd be really nice if I could play them outside. Or wow, it'd be really nice if I didn't have these speakers sitting on the floor. And lo and behold, there comes an industry. So I think what happened is that especially with the CEDIA channel, CEDIA is a solutions-driven approach for fun.
Wow.
And
Vin should hire you. Just
and because of that, I find that the personalities that are attracted to it, you get personalities in this industry. I found that starting out, they've grown. And we do have some larger companies, but again, as compared to the scale of commercial, I think that what we're trying to focus on right now is the business of doing business. That is one of the in terms of the directives, and I think Vinny would talk about, is that's the membership side of it, is that we are trying to help us as an industry get it out of our adolescence and into kind of becoming grown-ups within that. And you know, it's because of those personalities, because again, when you're dealing with a homeowner as opposed to a technology manager, as much as your technical prowess has to be matched by your charisma, I've found. And with that personality and that mindset, trying to get those personalities into a cohesive form to have multiple projects and process and everything else, it's alchemy, you know. It's just, and we haven't quite cracked that formula yet. I mean, I wish I knew. I mean, we had another experience of a kind of a merging of a super group that it was like in the Midwest, in the Minneapolis area, in the Chicago area, around, I would say, like 2006. Met kind of the same results, and so we really had high hopes for this to be a sign of it. And what's happening right now, because of this unfortunate incident, is that there's going to be a series of affluent customers who are not going to be happy right now. So as an industry, we're actually going to have to cover the hole that's come in. And you know, I see it happening again for the right reasons as our industry continues to mature. And I think that's where we're getting right now. We're in that tweener point, and somebody's got to be the first. And I think that's really what it came down to. They tried, and everybody's kind of waiting for somebody to fail. And when they saw that happen, they're a little bit more gun shy. So, and commercial's easier to standardize. Residential is, you're dealing with personality, you're dealing with the home, you're dealing with the lifestyle. You are at times, you're as much a psychotherapist as you are a technologist. When you are inside somebody's home, you are in their safe zone. And it doesn't always work out from the custom side of things. That's hard to put into a formula. To create 50 huddle spaces. You know, no houses are similar, but no two houses are alike.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the other factor of it too is that, you know, in commercial, it's not hard to find a company that has 30 offices scattered across the Midwest, or, you know, go into an insurance, you know, brand and do a meeting space or a huddle space, as you said, in every single branch of their offices. In residential, you're not even often going to find a single subdivision where you can get into every home, let alone be able to build a brand and build a, you know, quote unquote, a national company that does, like, there are very few national builders, let alone guys that are having that kind of clout to hit that many markets over that size. It's something where I don't want to say we'll never get there, but I don't think the high-end custom side of it will ever get there. I think it's too unique of a market, and the clients are too unique. Unless you have some client who owns, you know, Donald Trump level of property
in several places, and they just want the one,
one guy,
the one person. All right, guys. Victoria, how can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Victoria0429, or LinkedIn, or G+, anywhere, or AVNation. I blog sometimes there.
Yes, she does.
You're blogging this month for us, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
Of course.
Matt Scott, how can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Matt D. Scott, or pretty much Google that.
Google Matt D. Scott?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
That works pretty well.
His hair at some point will make it.
Yeah, my hair will make it back.
It will make it back, I'm sure. My name is Tim Albright. Don't follow me or Google me. There's no telling what you'll get. But go by the website if you would please, avnation.tv, avnation.tv. You'll find this program and a host of others. It is October, so we're in the middle of AV month. Our editor-in-chief, Josh Frego, has been working his tail to the bone to edit 31 pieces in 31 days. So check that out if you would please. Lots of cool new programs coming down the pipeline, as well as this that we do every week. So avnation.tv, avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. This has been AV Week.